Mr. Lester Brown, in his thoughtful book The Global Economic Prospect, points out that the Earth's principal biological systems are four: fisheries, forests, grasslands, and croplands. So, Lester Brown says that the Earth's economy is based on these four systems. What are these four systems? Fisheries, that is the marine resources that is present on the Earth. The forests, the different kinds of forests that are there. The grasslands are nothing but the open lands that are full of grass and which are used for grazing. And the croplands are nothing but lands that are used for growing different types of crops. In addition to supplying our food, these four systems provide virtually all the raw materials for industry. So according to the book, these four systems are those which are responsible for giving us food, and they also provide all kinds of raw materials that various industries need, except minerals and petroleum derived synthetics. So other than minerals and petroleum derived synthetics, these four systems provide all the raw materials that are needed. In large areas of the world, human claims on these systems are reaching an unsustainable level. So, on various parts of the world, humans are using up all these systems to such an extent that there is no more development in all these systems. So, everything is being depleted, a point where their productivity is being impaired. So the fisheries, the forests, the grasslands and the croplands, everything is being used up and nothing cannot be created again. When this happens, fisheries collapse, forests disappear, grasslands are converted into barren wastelands and croplands deteriorate. So what happens to all these four systems when man start using them up without thinking about the future? The fisheries collapse. That means all the fish resources get wasted or they get used up. The forests disappear. There are no more forests on the globe, and the grasslands are converted into barren wastelands. That means they become useless, and the croplands deteriorate. The croplands become less and less in number, and they cannot be used for growing crops anymore. In a protein conscious and protein hungry world, overfishing is common every day. So people are more worried about the protein intake. So they understand that eating fish is good for them. So what they do, so they start eating a lot of fish. So when this becomes, the fisheries get used up. In the poor countries, local forests are being decimated in order to produce firewood for cooking. So in the poor countries, they don't have any other means of fuel. So they cut down the trees from the forest and use those wood for firewood for their cooking purposes. In some places, firewood has become so expensive that what goes under the pot now costs more than what goes inside it. So, when people start using up all these forests for their firewood, the narrator says that the firewood has become very expensive. So, he says that what goes under the pot, that means the firewood that goes under the pot is more costly than what goes inside it, is more costlier than the food that we actually buy and use for cooking. Since the tropical forest is, in the words of Dr. Myers, the powerhouse of evolution, several species of life face extinction as a result of its destruction. So Dr. Myers calls the tropical forest as the powerhouse of evolution because this forest is home to numerous kinds of birds, animals and plants and trees. So when these are destroyed, several species of life face extinction. That means different birds and animals face extinction because of this destruction that man is doing towards the forests. The world's ancient patrimony of tropical forest is now eroding at the rate of 40 to 50 million acres a year. So the world's ancient patrimony is nothing but the property inherited from your father or any male ancestor. So for the whole world, the tropical forest is the property that has been inherited. So now according to this estimates, the forests are eroding or getting depleted at the rate of 40 to 50 million acres per year because of the overusage of these forests by man. And the growing use of dung for burning deprives the soil of an important natural fertilizer. So some people also use dried up dung for fuel. So when this dung is being used up or taken away from the soil is actually losing a natural fertilizer. The World Bank estimates that a five-fold increase in the rate of forest planting is needed to cope with the expected fuel wood demand in the year 2000. So according to the World Bank's estimate, it says that we need to plant at least the 5 times the existing area of the forest right now, so that you can cope up to the demand that will be there in the year 2000. Since this article was written in 1994, so they are talking about the future at that time. So by the year 2000, he says that you need at least 5 times of the forest that is present at that period of time. James Peth, the president of World Resources Institute, said the other day, "We are saying that we are losing the forest at an acre a second, but it is much close to an acre and a half to a second." So at that time, the estimate was 1 acre per second is being lost. 1 acre of the forest per second is being lost. But according to the president, James Peth, he says that it's not 1 acre, it is actually 1.5 acre of forest that is being lost per second now. Article 48A of the Constitution of India provides that the state shall endeavour to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forests and wildlife of the country. So according to the Constitution of India, there is an article which says that every state should protect and improve the environment and also try to safeguard the forests and wildlife of that particular country. So it is clearly laid down in our constitution itself that every citizen's duty is to protect the forests and wildlife of his country. But what causes endless anguish? Anguish is nothing but pain, is the fact that laws are never respected nor enforced in our country. But the greatest pain in our country is that all these laws are never respected. Nobody cares about these laws and they are not even enforced in India. If they were enforced, we would not have suffered this much loss. For instance, the Constitution says that casteism, untouchability and bonded labor shall be abolished, but they flourish shamelessly even after 44 years of operation of the Constitution. So in our country, there is law against casteism, that is discrimination against caste, untouchability and bonded labor. But they say that it has to be abolished, but still they are found everywhere, all over the country, even after about 44 years of the operation of the Constitution. Nobody has taken any step to stop this. It still continues. A recent report of our Parliament's Estimates Committee has highlighted the near catastrophic depletion of India's forests over the last 4 decades. So one of the Parliament Committee's estimates has highlighted that there is going to be total depletion of India's forests, and this has already been happening for the last 4 decades. 1 decade is 10 years. So for the last 40 years, India has been losing all the forests at a dangerous level. India, according to reliable data, is losing its forests at the rate of 3.7 million acres per year. So according to some reliable data, India is losing about 3.7 million acres of forests a year. Large areas officially designated as forest lands are already virtually treeless. So large areas which were called as forests are now really without any trees. The actual loss of forests is estimated to be 8 times the rate indicated by the government statistics. Now the government has given us some statistics by telling us that okay, this many amount of acres are lost in a year, but the actual data is actually 8 times to that data, to that real data. So the real loss is actually 8 times the amount indicated by the government statistics. A 3-year study using satellites and aerial photography conducted by the United Nations warns that the environment has deteriorated so badly that it is critical in many of the 88 countries investigated. So, the United Nations has conducted an investigation using aerial photography and satellites over the countries, and what they found out is that at least in 88 countries, the environment is in a very critical condition. That means all the natural resources, forests, everything has been depleted to a very, very bad level. There can be no doubt that the growth of world population is one of the strongest factors distorting the future of human society. So according to the narrator, he says that the growth of human population is one of the biggest factors that is causing all destruction to the future of human society. So we were talking about the rise in population. It took mankind more than 1,000,000 years to reach the first billion. So according to the narrator, it took million years for the population to reach 1 billion. That was the world population around the year 1800. By the year 1900, a second billion was added. So again by the next 100 years, there was one more billion, and by 1900 the population was 2 billion. And the 20th century has added another 3.7 billion. So when it became the 20th century, another 3.7 billion was added, and at that time during the 20th century the population was 5.7 billion. But now during 2019 the current population is 7.7 million. So you can see how fast the population is increasing. Every 4 days, the world population increases by 1 million. So, according to the current estimate, the narrator says that about 1 million of people, the amount of population is rising by 1 million per 4 days. Fertility falls as incomes rise, education spreads, and health improves. So he says that the fertility falls, that means the ability to produce offsprings becomes lesser as education spreads and health improves, because people become more aware, they understand the value of this population increase, and they know what are the dangers it causes, and so the amount of children produced will be less. This development is the best contraceptive. Contraceptive is nothing but the device that stops population increase. So he says that once development is there will be no increase in population as people become aware of the dangers of population increase. But development itself may be not possible if the present increase in number continues. So if the same number of population increase continues, the narrator says that development is not possible, because if more and more people keep increasing or coming on to this earth, it will be very difficult for the development to take place. So as the population increases, the earth itself will find it very difficult, because it will not be able to provide all the resources. The rich get richer and the poor beget children, which condemns them to remain poor. So the rich people only become richer, and the poor become poor, and they get more children because they are not aware of the importance of population control, or they have no awareness about the development that is around. So that's why there is always increase in population among the poor people. More children does not mean more workers, merely more people without work. So when we have more children, it does not mean that we have more people to work. It simply means that we have more people without any work. It is not suggested that human beings be treated like cattle and compulsorily be sterilized. So we cannot even treat all these human beings like cattle and be sterilized, because as the poor people grow in number, they do not know the meaning of development, and they just go on producing children and more children. So they cannot be treated like cattle and be asked to stop producing children or compulsorily be sterilized, or their ability to produce children be removed by force. But there is no alternative to voluntary family planning without introducing an element of coercion. So according to the narrator, he says that more and more people, because they do not know the meaning of development, they may not come voluntarily for family planning. So at certain times it becomes necessary for introducing by force and asking people to get sterilized or stop producing more children. The choice is really between the two, control of population and perpetuation of poverty. So the narrator says that there is only choice between these two factors. What are these two? One is control of population and the other one is continuation of poverty indefinitely. So the best alternative will be control of population, which will help us to increase or develop our own country. The population of India is estimated to be 920 million today, more than the entire populations of Africa and South America put together. So you can see how big the population of India is. You can put two countries or two continents together and it is much bigger than that. No one familiar with the conditions in India would doubt the hope of the people would die in their hungry hutments unless population control is given the topmost priority. So everybody who knows about the conditions in India would only say that the most important thing to be done at the moment is population control. So only if population control is done, people in the poor hutments will have some hope for the future. So the most important thing that has to be done right now is population control, which has to be given the topmost priority or the supreme importance. For the first time in human history, we see a transcending concern, the survival not just of the people but of the planet. So for the first time we see that the people have a transcending concern. That means a concern that is beyond boundaries. Not only the people think about their own country, but they think about the whole planet as a whole. So they think that the planet itself is very important other than one's own country itself. We have begun to take a holistic view of the very basis of our existence. So the people have become aware and they have begun to take a holistic view about their existence itself. They know that everything is interdependent on each other. So they have to take care about the needs and concerns of all the things, about the environment, about the ecosystem, about all the four biospheres that was spoken before. Everything should be taken care of. The environmental problem does not necessarily sign our demise, it is our passport for the future. So when we have known that there is a problem in the environment, it does not show that the whole planet is going to be destroyed. But then it has given us an understanding that we have to do something about it, and that is the passport for our future. It gives us a way to take care of the planet and save ourselves and save the planet for the future generations. The emerging new world vision has ushered in the era of responsibility. So the emerging new world vision, what is this new world vision? That our whole planet is in danger and then we have to control our population, etc. So we have become aware of all these problems that the whole planet is facing or the whole mankind is facing. So this has ushered in the era of responsibility. So it has brought in a time when man is going to be responsible and take all the responsibility on himself to take care of the planet for the future and give a safe and sound planet for the future generations. It is a holistic view and ecological view, seeing the world as an integrated whole rather than a dissociated collection of parts. Now that we have all understood the problems that we are facing, we all have started having a holistic view or an ecological view. That means taking the world as one rather than considering it as parts of different countries or whatever. So whatever we are trying to do should be for the improvement of the whole world itself or for the whole planet itself instead of taking the development by parts. Industry has a most crucial role to play in this new era of responsibility. So according to the narrator, he says that the industries have a great role to play during this era of responsibility. What a transformation would be effected if more businessmen share the view of the chairman of DuPont, Mr. Edgar S. Woolland, who 5 years ago declared himself to be the company's chief environmental officer. So the narrator says that the industry has a great role to play, and people like the chairman of DuPont considered himself or declared himself the chief environmental officer because he was more concerned about the environment and wanted to safeguard the planet itself. He said, our continued existence as a leading manufacturer requires that we excel in environmental performance. So he says that if they had to continuously be the leading manufacturer, they have to also excel in environmental performance. That means they have to take care of the environment also along with their manufacturing. That means whatever work they do, whatever they manufacture, they have to take care that the environment is not harmed in any way at all. Of all the statements made by Margaret Thatcher during the years of her prime ministership, none has passed so decisively into the current coin of English usage as her felicitous words. So, Margaret Thatcher, the prime minister, had made a lot of statements when she was a prime minister, but this statement was more welcome because it was concerned with the safeguarding of the planet. No generation has a freehold on this earth. So according to Mrs. Margaret Thatcher, she says that no generation can say that this earth belongs to them. All we have is a life tenancy. So she says that we all are only tenants on this earth with a full repairing lease. That means when we vacate this place, we are supposed to repair and return our services for having this beautiful earth. So when we have to leave the place, we have to leave it back in the same condition that we had taken it from. So that means all the damages that we have done should be repaired. In the words of Mr. Lester Brown, we have not inherited this from our forefathers. So he says that we have not inherited this property as our own and we cannot do whatever we wish. We cannot destroy it. So we have actually borrowed it from our children. So this property does not belong to us. We have actually borrowed it from our children. So when we have borrowed something, we should also return it in the same condition. So the best thing is we have to give it to them in the best possible manner by repairing all its damages so that the planet Earth is complete with its natural resources for the future generations to enjoy. I hope you liked today's video.